is talking and everything, so it's not quiet. Anyways, there was this kid. He might have been 3 or so. He could stand and say short sentences and stuff. But he was just. I looked over and I just noticed he was standing on the chair with the little. They had a little saucer thing of sugar for your coffee, and he was just spooning the straight sugar out of the thing, just nomming it. Eventually runs out, drops the spoon, starts licking his finger and dipping it in the thing. He gets every last little grain of sugar out of the bottom of that thing, and eventually he runs out and he just drops it and goes, ah! Just starts screaming. And I was like, that fucking baby is addicted to sugar, and he's having a tantrum because he ran out of his drug.
He OD'd on sugar.
Oh my gosh. And then his mom grabbed him just like, oh, you know, kids. It's like, did you
Not
watch
all kids are like that.
Oh, man.
No, like, fuck, he just he's a crazy drug addict who lost his drug, and now he's freaking out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're the fucking parents. Solve this problem. Like, don't just, that's a kid. It's like, no, man, and you're the fucking parent, so fix it, you know? Like,
it's
damn.
brutal. It's crazy that things like along the lines of child development and psychology and stuff like that aren't just common knowledge for everybody. Yeah. I'm sure like a fucking, neuroscientist is just as confused that people don't know that much about that shit too, but I don't know.
It should be taught in schools. I had an assignment when I was in school last year, finishing like my diploma to be an addiction worker. The project was, if you were like, if you can do anything in the world and you were part of like the government or whatever, how would you structure the education system? Mm-hmm. So in class, I created my own program. Like from the get-go, like in kindergarten, it would be appropriate to like slowly start like educating, kids on like basic knowledge, like psychology, like this is what happens.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
but they don't do that.
No.
It's crazy because I hope to eventually go back to school for psychology, and just been dabbling with it in my free time, and it just, the interest has just grabbed me so hard, and it's because it's like you're reading about yourself and you're reading about others, and then you learn about all the different types of personalities and all the different breakdowns and all that stuff. It's just, it seems like such valuable information to learn what we're like and who we are, and I just can't believe that everyone isn't obsessed with it. But I mean, that's just my own bias because I'm getting obsessed with it. But but not everyone can be obsessed with it because there's a ton of other shit that needs to get done. Like people need to be plumbers and people need to
but it
do all
would
that
be
shit.
helpful to just know about the human mind from a young age, right? So
Yeah.
like you can avoid like having like depression, or you could like work around it or like help yourself. You could avoid like having suicidal thoughts. You could avoid, like being an addict. Like you can work around like the problems. You could find a solution.
Yeah.
Right? But they don't do that.
Yeah. It seems like the schools are all obsessed with making sure everyone has high self-esteem right now, and it just doesn't seem like that works.
No, it doesn't work. Sometimes you just have to tell the kid that he lost.
Yeah. And that's how you grow. That's
It's like, if I don't want to keep on losing, then maybe I should do better.
Yeah. Right? I feel like self-respect comes from having seen yourself surmount difficult challenges.
Yeah.
And you don't just get self-esteem and self-respect for no bloody reason. Like, you just telling yourself words in your head. You don't actually believe it. There's nothing behind it. You have no experience that like fortifies, or it's the foundation for that, belief within yourself. It's like, unless you actually witnessed yourself doing that thing that was hard, you have no fucking, you don't believe yourself when you tell yourself those things. They're just words.
Yeah.
At least that's what I found with myself, trying to, I was really hippy-dippy into like Eastern philosophy shit and working with mantras and shit and trying all that stuff out, and I just found like I'm just saying shit to myself. It's like, it's not alive in you, in your body for real, unless you witness it. Like, yeah.
Well, and with like the confidence, right? It's like you can tell yourself as many words as you want, but as soon as like it's the world, you're gonna come across someone else that has a difference of opinion of you, or like you could tell yourself that like you're the best. Like I could tell myself that I'm the best rapper in the world, but then like someone comes along and is better than me, because, I didn't actually practice that much. I just told myself that I was the best rapper in the world. And then someone is better than me. That's going to crush me, right? That's going to crush who I am. And then, like, then I'm not going to know what to do with myself because that person is better than me. But if you like, are actually, like, you start from nothing and, like, you build up some sort of talent in wherever. And then, like, you just develop that confidence, right? Like, you don't get that from nothing, right?
Yeah, building self-esteem would be like a good thing to teach kids. Dealing with your emotions and saying it's okay to have negative emotions. Just what are you going to actually do about it moving forward? How are you going to grow?
Yeah.
Instead of just like suppressing it, right?
Yeah.
Because these kids they're being suppressed. Like if they're not quote unquote the perfect, model kid, you're like the loner in the corner. Like they suppress you. Like society suppresses you, and that's when internal problems develop. That's when, go on and on.
I feel like this didn't happen so much perhaps when like there was less people and the cities weren't so huge. Like in the agrarian era, you would know your whole extended family right up to your great grandparents if they were still alive and they were in your life like on a regular basis, and there was a network of people that you were forced to be around all the time that actually cared about you, and because when you're in a community of like a few hundred people in some small village a few hundred years ago, it's like you're a substantial member of the community because there's only so many of you, and people want you to do well, and it's just, I feel like part of the disconnect kind of comes from the sheer size of our culture because it's so big and there's so many people, and our country is enormous. Like it's hard to have a common sense of identity when we're here and there's people in Vancouver and we're somehow we're both Canadians, but we're on completely opposite ends of the continents, and it's easy to feel like a loner.
Yeah, it's easy for society to suppress, like, the people who are struggling, right? Just to get rid of them. Mm-hmm. And just to keep the very few on top. If that makes any sense. Mm-hmm. Yeah,
it's easier to disregard them, I think.
Yeah, I think I told you, like, what I went through in high school.
Yeah.
I went through a lot in my life. Just, teachers in high school and everything, they had no idea what, like, Melanie was going on. What was going on, rather. And, I auditioned for this role at a musical to be, like, the lead vocalist. And one of, like, the judges, I guess, one of the professors in, like, the high school, I wouldn't even say professor, teacher in the high school, like, she should have the main role, But the other teachers said no, because my grades weren't high enough.
Brutal.
I'm like, what does my grades in math and science have to do with my musical ability?
Not anything.
So, can you imagine a 15-year-old's ego?
Yeah.
Down the drain. Yeah. And that's the reality of life, right? Like, tons of kids are probably going through that.
Totally. Without a doubt. For sure. Yeah. Well, fuck.
Well, look at me now.
Yeah, you're fucking nailing it now.
Yeah, that's the thing, right?
So,
like, you
turn it around, right?
Yeah. Like, if you don't have that like, those pitfalls, then you won't be able to get where you want to go, right?
Oh my god, coming back to Jordy Haley, he one time, because I was having a hard time juggling everything and like everyone, and I didn't have my shit together for my lesson, and then it had been like a few lessons in a row, and he just looked at me and started just saying like, fucking welders make a lot of money. And
it's true.
I was, and he just started dropping hints that I should look into trade school and like do music on the side, and I was so fucking offended.
Oh,
I was like,
yeah, totally.
I was like, fuck you. But I can't. So okay, here's the thing. I'm like not really pursuing a music career anymore, and I don't know if I'm going to again. Probably not. So it's the whole context is shifted now. But at the time, what wound up happening as a result of him saying that was that it lit such a fire under my ass.
Yeah.
I was like, fuck that guy, I'm going to prove him wrong. Like, and then, I think I have a decent musical resume, and I did a lot of things I wanted to do, and so I'm happy with it. So I don't know if he, like, knew me enough that he knew saying that was going to fucking motivate me, or if it was just a happy coincidence that it did, or if you really thought that I should like get a trade. Either way, it was weird, you know, because he's an oddly he's an odd guy like that. He's like some old guru guy who's just like says the most offhand shit, and you're like, what? It just makes you think. But anyways, it's I don't know what the right balance is, because like that could totally destroy the one kid, and then the right kid could just be like, no, fuck that. It might fuel their fire even more. Yeah, I mean,
I think it made me like angry and like saying like, nah, I'm gonna persevere. I mean, you just watch and see.
Yeah, I think if you want to do it enough, you'll ignore those people, right? You'll ignore it and you'll push through that. Yeah, you know, I think we all had something similar like that. You know, I grew up in a small town where rap music wasn't popular, right? Or like people would be like, "Oh, you can't rap," or like they would call me a wigger, or like just mock me, saying that I was like Eminem in like a mocking tone, which I don't know how that's like an actual insult, because
Eminem's killer,
right?
Take the compliment,
and so and
whatever.
But it was always like one of those things, and my family are like, a lot of them are well, like I come from a Dutch family, and so a lot of them are farmers. Yeah. Or like teachers. Like my dad's a teacher, and like most of my uncles are farmers, and so they're very like hands-on, like tangible people, you know, like, you know, the good conservative people that like built something, and you know, had their job, had their family, had like all that sort of stuff. Yeah. And then that comes back to like way like where we were talking about, like I don't really picture myself doing any of that. Like any of that stuff, I don't picture myself, I don't see myself doing. And so for all those family members to be like, oh, you know, you like, what do you think about your life? And it's like, well, you know, I wanna do music. Oh, that doesn't pay. Like that's cool. And they kind of pat you on the head, and they're like, you know, you should divert like 30% of your time to music, and then like 70% of your time to like something else. Yeah. Right. Like just don't focus on it too much. And it's like, but that's where the problem happens. Is like people have a plan B. Like my only plan B is to do plan A. Yeah. Right. Like, and that's always the mentality I've had, and I think that comes from being told that like, oh, you know, welding pays a lot, right? It's like you need that sometimes, though, right?
Yeah, it's a good kick in the ass. It's
absolutely.
Like, and I wasn't doing well. I was fucking off real hard, but yeah. Well, maybe we should wrap it up soon, eh?
Yeah, we've been at this for a while.
Yeah. It was a good conversation.
I like
so, what are the social medias that people should never stop looking at for you guys?
You go first. Ladies first.
What do you mean, social medias?
Social medias, like get people addicted to your social media.
Oh yeah. At Melotika Music. Right?
For Instagram.
Yeah. Am I advertising my music?
Yeah, this is totally your plug.
Wow. At Melotika Music. You can find that on Instagram, on Twitter, and on Spotify and Facebook. You can find me under Melotika. So that's Melotika. Melotika Music.
Even the spelling.
Yeah, the spelling is important. Yeah. People do not know how to spell things.
Yeah. It's true. No, I get that a lot with mine because of the Krosst. Yeah. It's like it's the T instead of the ED, so it's like
you mean lacrosse, man?
Yeah. it's like it's KROSST space LUT, right?
Yeah.
But they always put the ED or they just spell it the conventional way. So
So what's your shit?
It's on Instagram at Crossed Out Music. My website is www.crossedoutmusic.com, which I recommend everybody just go there because all the links to my stuff are there. But basically it's just, you know, Crossed Out Music, Crossed Out. I'm on Spotify. And sign up for my email list if you want, because you guys, the email listers, get like super cool insights into like my mind and like what I'm doing, and I send out emails like once or twice a month to kind of just update people and, you know, tell them what's up and that sort of thing. And yeah, it's a cool experience. So crossedoutmusic.com.
Fuck yeah, and you're playing tomorrow night in Halifax at Menz Mollyz.
Yeah,
come out to that. And what's the EP called? The single called? What?
Life of the Party EP.
Life of the Party.
Yeah. And then
Yeah, the Melotika EP that came out March 9th is called Unaware. I'm hoping I'll be able to perform tomorrow. I'm just gonna maybe sound like Janis Joplin and be like